Hello, hello, hello. Hooligan Soccer Podcast, game week 24, with, as ever, the Qooligan.
I hear the voice of angels
It's just me, the Qooligan. It's
singing
just me,
in my
just
ear.
Gary Striker. That's who it is.
Ah, crap. Well, and I had something here. I thought I had something magic happening, and no, it's just another edition of the Hooligan Soccer Podcast.
Just another one, Friday morning.
Which may sound like angels to those who listen, but we all know the real truth, Gary.
A couple of middle-aged guys talking about soccer. Hey, there we go. Well, but there is a lot to get.
Hey,
there is a lot.
The truth hurts.
It is true, but it is true.
It is true.
So, Qooligan, hello. We have a bit to get through. We're gonna cover off. We're going to touch on we woke up this morning and saw that there was the Champions League draws, the seeded draws for those who got into the playoffs. So,
there is, but because I am in a time zone that is significantly back from yours, it's absurdly early here, and I have yet to see that. So please give me a moment because I'm gonna bust that out.
While I've done my homework, I will.
The digs! It's a spicy edition for everybody today.
If you see an opening, you take it. If you see an open goal, you put the ball in the back of the net, don't you?
Of course, you got to take it.
We're going to go.
There it is. Got it. Okay.
Champions League playoff draw. We're going to go through. Premier League kicks back up again as well, and we'll look through some of those fixtures. It's the silly season in the transfer window as well. There's all sorts of activity, mainly not happening in the places that you'd expect it, but we'll cover that off. And then also as well, quite a bit of excitement and activity on the MLS preseason. A bunch of teams are on the road, obviously burning off the summer calories, and also there's a little bit of transfer activity as well. So
absolutely.
Also, just one other shout out that I do want to see is obviously we were discussing offline is there's been quite an uptick in consumption, and there are actual real human people, not bots, listening to this amazingly. So this is also,
and we love all of you.
This is just a little shout out.
Even the bots. Even the bots.
The bots. They may be
okay, we love you. The bots a little less. The bots we love a little less. Yes, we do.
So if you are listening and you do enjoy what you hear and you do want to reach out and get in touch, please, Twitter, X, whatever it's called nowadays, Facebook, go to hooligan-soccer.com as well. There's also sort of a contact us form. Feel free to reach out if there's anything you want to hear us cover, any questions you have for us, anything you disagree with or agree with as well. We would love to hear from you. So please do reach out. Don't be afraid. Always welcome and happy to have that. And it goes into both of our inboxes as well.
And I will just have to say that the Qooligan is also on X, and the handle should be obvious. And we like disagreements more than we like agreements, although we'll take either one.
We do, indeed. Okay, so let's get into our first headbutt then and disagreements as well. Champions League playoff. So just recapping.
Champions League playoff.
That game week 8 where we had that mega Golazo show. We were hyping it up. It was exhausting and intense watching it. But if you if you look back on it and sort of reflect on it, it doesn't feel like there was too many real shocks, right? There weren't any big scalps that were actually left without a seat that we thought. PSG managed to sort of dominate, and obviously against Stuttgart and sort of qualify quite comfortably. Man City saved it till the sort of the final back half of the game, so they got through. They haven't done.
They did the business, and fine. I think deep down, we all expected that to happen. I think we all hoped it wouldn't happen, but that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So just looking through sort of the playoffs on the Champions League side, I'm just going to start left to right here as well from the way I'm having it presented to me. You've got an all-French clash with Brest against PSG, which it almost feels unfair. I really feel for Brest as well. We really got excited and got behind them, and they dropped off a little bit towards the end. They probably over-delivered in the first 4 or 5 game weeks, and then they've been drawn up against PSG there. French rivals, and you can imagine that that's just going to be an easy walk in the park for PSG, you'd expect.
Yeah, sure, and I think you're right. I've got some thoughts on the way the draw has come out that I'll save for a little bit later. So, but keep talking, keep talking, Gary. I don't disagree with. I absolutely do not disagree.
Yeah.
That was the worst, one of the worst possible draws that Brest could have had.
It was. They well, and then sort of going through, and then you've got in the next fixture as well. You have Brugge against Atalanta. Did I say it right that time? Did I get it correctly, or am I still butchering it?
I mean, your ch is not necessarily guttural enough, but then again, it's Flemish, so it's okay.
And how many total people globally speak Flemish? I think it's sort of less than about 4 million. Is that right?
Oh, hold on a second.
Not the Google. Yeah, it's not that many people speak Flemish, as we know. There are parts of Holland and parts of Belgium, and that's it, right? Anyway, Brugge are playing Atalanta, the Italian team, and so that's a pretty fairly even match fixture. Although for me, if I sort of throw some money down, I would say Atalanta are probably going to be sort of my.
Oh no! I think Atalanta as a team and as a club is stronger than Brugge. I mean, Brugge went 20 games undefeated before playing Man City, right? So we know that they've got quality, and so and what's really interesting is it's a battle of the black and blues. They're both black and blue, right? Okay. So in terms of colors, it's a fascinating match. Take from that what you will.
I will, and I will move on as well. I think the big one, the spiciest fixture, I think that everyone's looking forward to is Manchester.
Love this. Love this.
This is kind of like two wounded Titans who have so much sort of talent, but are just not getting it together and not firing on all cylinders. Man City, they really did basically keep it tight and, well, not sorry, let me say rather loose, should I say, went 1-0 down against in their last game, and who were they playing against? That eluded me. It was I've forgotten. Oh God, it's eluded me who they played against, but they went 1-0 down and then ended up coming back, and I think they won 3-1 as well. So City just managed to do the business, but Real City, this is kind of like two elephants on ice at the moment, right? Any one of them could slip up at any moment, and it could be an absolute massacre. My suspicion here is I think Real Madrid, just with the pedigree and the caliber of the provenance of this competition, that they'll be fine.
Yeah. These are two gigantic Champions League titans. Yeah. So it's a toss up. I mean, hey, flip the coin, right? It's whoever's going to want it more, and we don't know. You know, they played over two fixtures, so it's not a one and done. Yeah. I love it. I think it's great. This is spicy. This is exciting. I like this. I like this a lot.
Bring on the new format. Yes. And then looking over on the other side, and then you have Juve against PSV. So you have the Italians against the Dutch. Juve haven't really been sort of cooking as they normally have been.
No.
Reputation. PSV probably doing well. I'm going to go PSV on that one, to be honest. Would you agree with that?
Wow. Mm-hmm. I mean, listen, here are the two teams that have the most Americans playing, right? Mm-hmm. So you're going to have 5, United States nationals between two teams on this, right? So, I mean, you could have 5 Americans on the field all at the same time in this fixture, and it would be fascinating to see that happen. But I don't know. Again, I don't think this one is as straightforward as it appears. Both teams have the potential and the quality, but both teams just lack consistency, and I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's true.
It's who's going to be the most consistent over 2 matches.
Yeah, that insightful wisdom there from the Qooligan as well. That is very, very true. What is interesting though is that statement that you just made is you can have 5 US players playing a match. 5 years ago, you wouldn't have said that. You could not have said that 5 years ago.
No,
that's not the case. So it really does speak.
I don't think you could have said it 3 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe even 2 years ago. Yeah.
So it really
the landscape is changing.
It definitely is, and it's wonderful to see. It really is wonderful to see. Okay, so moving over to the other side of the bracket, we have Monaco against Benfica. That one, that's a sort of like, if I was Brest, I would have liked to have taken probably Monaco or Benfica rather than PSG, but that's obviously the nature of the seeding, and that's how it is. That one, I'm unsure on that one. I think Benfica probably would be my gut here, but again, I wouldn't sort of lean on that one too much, to be honest.
No, even draws, right? I mean, it seems a fair draw.
Yeah, indeed. Sporting against Borussia, last season's finalists, against Sporting, who just by the skin of their teeth managed to just qualify. And
I mean, really, they got by on goal difference.
So yes.
Just on, yeah. Zagreb could not overcome some poor performances early on. That goal difference hurt them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Zagreb were playing City. There we go. That's what it was, wasn't it? Yes. There we go. Got
yep.
It in the end. So yeah, I'd imagine. I think Dortmund probably sort of walked through that one pretty.
Well, no. Zagreb were playing Real.
Sorry, Real. I'm getting them confused. Yes, you are exactly right.
It's all right. It's all right. That's why I'm here.
Keep us honest.
Steer you back on the path to righteousness, Gary. You are straying from the true faith. We're going to get you back onto there.
Okay, and then bashing through these, Celtic against Bayern Munich. I mean, you've got
not a snowball's chance in hell for Celtic on this one. Sorry,
steamroll them. Absolutely,
no way.
Bayern steamroll them.
No way.
It will be interesting to see if they have that the Matisse Tells, who is obviously sort of the subject of a lot of transfer speculation at the moment. But you'd expect, Harry Kane and the boys to sort of run over those guys, no problem. And then
sure,
Feyenoord against Milan. That's a good one, hey?
That's a good one. No, that's a good one. I think, I mean, despite the fact that Feyenoord completely crapped the bed, I'm sorry, they got embarrassed by Lille.
Mm-hmm.
They were unprepared. I mean, 3 own goals.
Mm-hmm.
That's shocking at any level, right? In any game. I mean, I've officiated U11 girls, and they don't have that many games. I've officiated U9 boys, and they don't have 3 own goals. I mean, it's just like, oh, come on. Which I think is a testament to how good Lille have performed in this campaign. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, Feyenoord's not going to let that happen again. So I think that was their bump. That was their hiccup. So they're going to be coming in strong.
Mm-hmm.
They have Milan at home to start, and so they're going to want to come in and absolutely, blast on them. Interesting thing, Feyenoord did not have fans in the Lille Stadium.
You said this, yes,
right? Because they were under a ban. So did that affect them? Maybe, and I don't know what the situation with Milan is. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I suspect that they're allowed to have fans in Milan because I think that was only a local thing, not necessarily a UEFA thing. But I don't know. I'd have to do my homework on that one.
Okay. Well, the good news is that all of these games are going to be played again. We're going to have another mega Golazo show as well. Wow, UEFA really have outdone themselves with this format as well. 11th of February, all games played at the same time as well. So just a massive bonanza. It is, as I say, hopefully it's not as exhausting as it was the last sort of game week round. But yeah, that one. Also
it can't be. It's half as exhausting because there's half the fixtures.
There is half the fixtures, but I think but there's twice the talent or twice the potential in terms of the capacity as well. So we'll
that is true. That is true. Yes.
Okay, so Champions League, I think looking good. Now looking at these draws, now that we know who's through, out of these guys, who would you sort of pick, if you had to pick 3 potential overall winners for the Champions League, what teams are you looking at? Who do you like to look at, would you say?
You always have to go with Real Madrid because they've just got the pedigree, right? I mean, that's them. Yeah. That's out of this group, right? We're not talking about the top 8,
mm-hmm.
right? It's like dark horses from this group to go through and win. Real Madrid, obviously, I think they're not even a dark horse. They're probably a front runner.
Yeah.
I'd say that. I mean, listen, I'm going to be boring on this one, man. You got Real Madrid, you got Bayern.
Yeah.
And you've got PSG. And all 3 of those have the class, the talent. Yeah, even PSG.
Okay.
Although I will say this, one caveat. PSG, the winner of Brest PSG, has to go into the
Liverpool
maelstrom, the meat grinder of playing either Liverpool or Barcelona, which when you look at bracketology means they're out. Okay, so
we're inventing new words here as we go along. Is that
no? Bracketology is a real thing. Don't accuse me. Don't accuse me of making stuff up. No, bracketology is a real thing. Watch the NCAA, right? Watch the NCAA tournament. And tell me bracketology is not a real thing. It's a big business. No, and you know what's really interesting is the one that could slip through is either PSV.
Mm-hmm.
God, it hurts me to say that. I'm so sorry, Ajax, but PSV could do it.
Yes.
They have an interesting pathway, right? Or Feyenoord. Both of those Dutch teams do have the ability to slide through. I think they could do it.
I mean, they could.
Both
Both
do.
Theory, I mean, looking at Feyenoord, right? They're playing Milan, and then either Inter or Arsenal await them as well. So
That's right.
They could be making sort of multiple trips to Milan and playing at the San Siro multiple times, and playing against those Italian teams. That's interesting. I wouldn't disagree with you if I had to. Again, if we're just sort of picking them, I think obviously once you bring in the sort of the top 8 as well, it changes the dynamic completely.
Oh yeah, it changes everything. Yeah.
I don't think PSG for me. I just they seem to have just lost a little bit of their sort of star power and their star sparkle, particularly as sort of, the big stars have gone, and they had that sort of change in philosophy of playing for the club rather than sort of being the superstars. I agree. I think Man City are just getting warmed up, and again, just like sort of, the marathon in a way, you don't want to start fast and then finish slow. You want to sort of start slow and finish fast. So I think Real Madrid will probably sort of find their rhythm and find their form, and obviously sort of the standard that they have. They're the holders. They know how to win this competition for sure. I know I've said this many times. I really like Leverkusen. I really like Bayer Leverkusen and Xabi Alonso.
You're absolutely insane, man. You are so insane.
I'm going to stick to that one, and each round as well, we'll bring it up, and you can hit me over the head with it if they ever lose. But I'm gonna stick to Leverkusen. But to be honest, let's kid ourselves. If you're going to win this, you need to beat Liverpool and or Barcelona. What is interesting is that they don't face each other. They're going to face obviously Brest or PSG.
Correct.
So they are set up so that you could have a
Liverpool and Barcelona will never face each other until the final. They can't.
Exactly, because of the structures as well. And then, so what is interesting is you could potentially have a Real Madrid-Liverpool semi-final, which could be interesting. I think just looking on this side, I say Barcelona, either side could be playing.
It all depends on what side they come on. That's what makes this particular round sort of interesting, is you do not know upon which side. All you know is that Liverpool and Barcelona will not play each other again, right, until the final.
Yeah,
you know that Lille and Villa will not play each other, or Atletico Leverkusen or Arsenal Inter. Fine, okay, great, but that's all you know. It's so many different permutations, right?
Indeed. Wonderful. Well, I think so those would be sort of my tops would be Liverpool, Real Madrid, or Leverkusen would be the wild card there for my sort of out of those three as well. But let's put a pin in those ones, and then let's turn our attention to.
I got one last thing I just have to say. If Disney, I'm sure that there's a Disney lawyer who's listening to our podcast right now, Gary. You need to the logo. Munich 25, the font on that completely ripped off your Disney signature. So I'm just letting you know right now. And you can just send if you say Munich 25, the actual logo for Munich 25 looks just like the Disney signature. You can send me the cut of the money you'll receive. Just send it to hooligan-soccer.com. And that's Qooligan Q000, right? Just that's make the check out to that.
The number of zeros as well that you're going to be getting paid 00000. Who knows? Maybe Disney can sort of pull some.
I better get a referral for that. God damn it.
We'll mark it and we'll retweet it. Okay, so let's turn our attention. So Premier League is back. It feels like a little while since it's been away, although it has only been a week. But there's just been so much activity going on that it's been sort of quiet. So turning our attention to game week 24, round of 24 on the Premier League. First game is going to be a really interesting one. You've got Forest against Brighton.
Yes.
Brighton are overachievers, massive overachievers, as are Forest, as are Nottingham Forest.
Okay, I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think Brighton have necessarily overachieved. I think Brighton have just been flatlining.
Interesting. Okay, we're just sitting in ninth place, sort of in the pack.
Well,
there.
No. I think ninth place. Listen, Brighton's history. I think Brighton is one of those what I like to call forgotten Premier League teams. I mean, they're always there in that middle to upper echelon.
Yeah.
So in a way, they're just doing what they've been doing for the past few years, right? It's been a long time since Brighton have been one of the like relegation, what I like to call relegation threats, and in the sense that you're always nervous that they could get relegated. Crystal Palace is in that category, right? They're what I call a perennial relegation threat.
Yeah.
They generally finish between 11th and 15th.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes they might get 16th or 17th, but they're always down in that bottom area. Brighton tends to be a little higher.
That's true.
So I don't think they've overachieved. I think they've been just fine. In fact, I'd say that given some of their performances, some of their expectations, they have underperformed, at least during the Crucible and during some other areas.
Okay.
Too many draws, right,
draws,
for them.
I agree with you.
A lot of draws.
I suppose the reason I would say overachieving for me is we were obviously sort of jamming on it, and obviously there's going to be an article coming out about Brighton's transfer strategy and transfer approach, right? They have this ability of finding young talents, paying peanuts for them, and flipping them and selling them for vast astronomical sums, and they've been doing this consistently.
Yeah.
And so
they have.
For me, what is interesting is how you can essentially get gutted pretty much at the end of every season and basically lose 2 or 3 of your best overperforming players, and then still stay that consistency. So that kind of sort of would be sort of my thinking on it. I do agree with you in terms of sort of that sort of like, now Brighton are a sort of steady mid-table team, but they seem to have found that business model. Pivoting over to real overperformers, I don't think any of us can deny that Forest are overperformers right now.
100%. Yeah. And this is their game back. Yeah. They lost last week, right? Yeah. And so, I mean, they lost spectacularly. I mean, as far as a spectacular loss goes, that's it. But that I said it last week, and I'll say it again. I think that's a blip. I think they come back in. I think they're at home. And I think they churn up the Seagulls, right? Okay. I think the Seagulls are trying to come in, and they're trying to pluck the chips out of Forest's hand, and they're going to grab the Seagull by those scrawny little feet, pull it right down to earth, and give it a stomping.
Break its neck and throw it on the floor. Is that what it is? Okay.
I mean, yeah, sure. We can go a little dark on that, sure.
Speaking of going dark, this is the game that I'm going to be watching this weekend. Bournemouth, Liverpool. This is the game.
This is. I mean, who could have thought that a Bournemouth Liverpool fixture could have significant bearing on the title race? Mm-hmm. Nobody. Yeah. Nobody could have thought that back in August. It was inconceivable. Nod to the Sicilian from Princess Bride. Inconceivable. Wally Shawn, one of my faves, right? So anyway,
Princess Bride quotes as well. All-time banger, the Princess Bride.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so you look at this, and Liverpool's traveling to Bournemouth. Tiny, vibrant, they're on a tear. Mm-hmm. This is the one. This is the one for Liverpool where they've got to put their authority. They've got to stamp their authority on the league with this win. They have to win, and they've got to win. They've got to win solidly.
I think if they win, this feels like if Liverpool win, this will be kind of like a grinding out a 1-0 win where they kind of like sit back, hit the sort of try and control the game, and then it will be a tight, nervy game. Is my suspicion, but. How would you say? So how do you imagine Liverpool could win this? Do you think they go in and they just do the Liverpool thing, which is just dominate them and just run?
No. I think Liverpool just wants to win. I don't think they really care how, and that's appropriate. Right. I'm saying that to make all the Liverpool fans feel good, and to make all the pundits out there shut their mouths, they need to come in and dominate. Will they? I doubt it. Mm-hmm. Liverpool's defense, as good as it is going to be hard pressed by Bournemouth's counter. I mean, Bournemouth just are blazing in that backfield. Yeah. The good news is Liverpool has a very rested team.
They do. And Arnie was
right. They did not have to. They did not have to play any of their main. They didn't have to play any of their like big time players. Right. They lost as a result of it. Nobody really cared. They still got the top spot, right? So no, it was the right thing to do. He did the right thing. He's going to have a rested team. He's going to have all his stars, and they're going to come out guns a-blazing. They have to.
Yeah, I agree. This will be the game to watch. What is also interesting as well, which I'm just looking at their stats, and surprisingly, Bournemouth in the last 3 games have scored 11 goals against Premier League opposition. They beat Forest 5-0. They beat Newcastle 4-1, and then they drew 2-2 with Chelsea. They are scoring a lot of goals. That is.
Yes, they are.
They are a goal threat, and it doesn't seem like it's coming from any one player. It seems like it's coming from Patrick.
It's coming from Patrick Kluivert. Justin Kluivert. I'm sorry, my bad. Look at me. I'm wearing Ajax, and all of a sudden my brain's going back 20, 30 years back to the good old days. No, sorry about that. Yeesh.
Yeah, coming from Patrick Kluivert, Justin Kluivert, Patrick's son.
Justin Kluivert.
Yeah. He is looking really, really, really in form at the moment, which is really good to see. So he's
and Semenyo as well has been going in and doing that. And what I find interesting is their combination and a lot of things. I mean, they had that one. They did make Premier League history earlier in the season back in 24 when Semenyo drew 3 penalties and Kluivert converted 3 penalties, right, in one game. That was something that's never happened before. I would expect to see at least one. If I was a betting person, I would say look at the line for penalties to Bournemouth.
Interesting.
Because I think that's probably a good one because Semenyo's speed, right, and somebody is going to somebody's going to have a trailing leg and it's going to go in and there's going to be a PK. That's my prediction.
I'm going to timestamp that and even tweet that as well just to put it in there because that is a big call. And I think a valid call.
I'm telling you.
It's very valid. No, that is a very, very good call. Okay. I like that one.
Yeah.
Okay. So we think
there's at least one penalty to Bournemouth. Yeah.
Bournemouth get a penalty in that one. So who do you think, what do you think, where do you think this sort of nets out? Who do you think wins this one? Where does this go?
But the game?
Yeah, who wins? Who do you think?
Oh, no, Liverpool wins. I think Liverpool wins. Yeah. They've got too much on the line. They have too much on the line.
Okay. All right, so they're flying through. Going over to the other side of Liverpool, Everton against Leicester. And
relegation battle. Relegation. Snooze, move on.
Although David Moyes has picked up a little bit of form, won his last 2 games, sort of now that he's back.
No. Listen, they're both coming in on form right now. Yeah. Leicester had a turnaround. Listen, Leicester were down and out. That was it. They were a joke.
Yeah.
7 losses off the bounce.
Yeah.
Tottenham coming in to say, and they went whoop, and completely and utterly screwed the Spurs.
Yeah.
So you better believe that they're going to be on fire. And Moyes has come in and he's turning Everton around. He's doing what Moyes does. It's not flashy. It's not sexy. It's not exciting, but it's effective. So we've got a clash of two different blues. I'm not sure which one's going to come out on top. And I'll be honest with you, Gary, I really don't care. Yeah. But I know some people do, right? In the grand scheme of things, I want Everton to lose because that gives Palace a little bit more, stuff. But no.
I just hope for your sake that the Disney lawyer that's listening that you've encouraged to go and litigate against UEFA isn't an Everton fan. So let's hope that.
No self-respecting lawyer is an Everton fan, Gary. We know this for a fact. This is no way.
Okay, well, if you think Everton Leicester is an absolute relegation snooze fest, I mean, you're going to love this next.
Oh boy, Southampton and Ipswich. Woo!
This is the snooze fest. This is the who cares.
Oh my God, the who cares cup. This is the who cares cup of February 1st. Well, oh my God,
this is snooze fest. You'd expect. I mean, both of them, the form last 3 games have just been straight losses. Southampton are just perennial losers by the looks of it.
True, but I'm gonna go on a caveat here. Southampton, though, have played better than their record indicates. They have. They have not been abhorrently awful.
Are we talking all
their defense? No. Just in the last 3 games. Just in the last 3 games.
Since the new manager came in, yes.
They have not been completely abhorrent. Their defense has been abysmal. Mm-hmm. But as a team, they're still there. They're still invested. They're still going at it 100%. They're just, that what happened to them by Man U you can chalk up. That was anomalous. That was one player just cut right through them, right? And that happens sometimes. You have games where you're late in the game, you've been doing a great job, and then somebody comes on, a spark is lit, and they just carve through you, and you don't know. You go back into the locker room and you look at yourself and you're going, "What the fuck just happened? I don't know." And in that case, it was Ahmad, right? But I don't think Ipswich has that unless Dillop suddenly wakes up and goes, "Oh yeah, right, here we go." No, I think this is Ipswich. I think Ipswich will come in and do it. They have to. If they want to have any chance of staying up, this is a must win for them. This is a must win.
This is the only one, yeah. And then
obviously they have more on the line, and they're at home. So they're gonna be. They really need it, and they're gonna want it more.
Yeah, this is true. And then also as well, if you just look at their form guide as well, Ipswich obviously lost against Liverpool, Man City, and then Brighton. So they've had a pretty shitty list of fixtures as well. So they'd be looking.
Yeah, that was a rough patch for them. This is where they go. All right, let's turn this around. Turn that bus around. Exactly. Tractor boys need to start pulling their weight.
Speaking of buses and making the long, arduous journey from London all the way up to the northeast of England, you've got Fulham playing against Newcastle. The form Newcastle are in at the moment as well. I think Newcastle are sort of the team. They really have suddenly woken up and suddenly come into their own form and found their rhythm. Right? They're looking great. Yeah, looking really good.
Yeah, I don't see Fulham. I see Fulham making it uncomfortable for Newcastle, but I don't see Newcastle falling.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'd agree with that one as well. Yeah. And then you have the Battle of the Midlands, the two teams from Birmingham. You've got Wolverhampton Wanderers, Wolves against Aston Villa.
Is it fair to really put Wolverhampton? Yes, I recognize that it's in the Birmingham vicinity, but let's try to give Wolverhampton a little bit of love there. They are their own. They are their own entity.
Yeah, they are their own entity. Aston Villa, who again are through to the round of 16 for the Champions League, which is again I would not have sort of figured that 2 years ago. Just the way they have Unai Emery has done an incredible job of turning them around. The problem he seems to be fighting though is they're just going through a real blip in form right now, and it's a real challenge for them in the league. They are just sinking. They have 2 wins and 3 draws. Admittedly, no losses, so it's not sort of a crisis situation, but they just can't seem to run together, and that's definitely hurting them.
Right, but I think Wolverhampton probably have some of the worst luck of any Premier League team this year. Southampton made their own luck. Okay, Wolverhampton just is some eyebrow raising levels of bizarreness, and so no, Villa. I think Villa. They're going to come back. And I think they're going to steamroll them.
You'd expect them to win this one as well. That would be pretty comfortable.
Yeah, I'm expecting at least a 2-goal margin on this.
So wow, this is turning into a betting podcast, a moneyline podcast, the Hooligan Soccer moneyline podcast. All of us.
No, I'm not giving you lines. I'm just giving you my thoughts.
It sounds like there's a spread there.
If you're dumb enough to follow my thoughts, then power to you. And if you make any money, once again, that email address is.
Wow.
Send a wire.
Side hustles going on.
We do accept Bitcoin. There you go.
Wow, how far you've come, The Qooligan. How far you've come.
Wow, I know. Shocking. Podcasting, Bitcoining. Yeah.
Okay. So we've got, and then you've got a London derby here as well. You've got Brentford against Tottenham. Tottenham, just looking at it, they're 15th as well. They've had 4 losses on the bounce. Versus Brentford.
Sink like a stone, baby. Sink like a stone.
Now, in Tottenham's defence, and all the Spurs fans listening as well, is there is this insane injury problem going on through Spurs at the moment. Now,
no excuse.
That's
no excuse.
It is used an excuse, but then the counter to that is, if you do want to be sort of objective, is the way in which Ange Postecoglou plays, which is that Ange ball, which is that high line, that pressing. That's why you have a lot of calves injuries, you have a lot of hamstring issues and these kind of things. And so it is interesting. There is a trade-off, isn't there, right, with the way you play that actually can impact your injuries. Whereas if you look at Liverpool, for example, not many injuries at the moment as well, right? No injuries at all, right? So it's
and especially compared to prior seasons. Why? Because that's the way that Klopp used to play. He played that aggressive Gegen style. Yeah. And so it would impact players. so you would frequently have folks out for these little needling things, like you say, calves, hamstrings, groins, various stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, they're playing a different style, and the Spurs don't have the depth, right, to be able to sustain that. And listen, they don't have any identity whatsoever right now. They are a team of players just going out in the same uniform and pretending to sort of be in concert with each other. And you could say injury, but the way that they play has nothing to do with injury. The way that they play has everything to do with coaching. And I know you like Ange.
Mm-hmm. And I like
That's
him.
fine.
Do you know what's interesting? When you say I like him, and I do like him, but the main reason I do like him is just for his honesty in his interviews, right? He hasn't come out historically. I know there's been a few times where he's got a bit upset, but normally before, I remember there was a few months ago where he got asked about a decision that went at Spurs' way and got a goal, and he came out and he said, "Look," and then there was the following week there was a decision that went against him, and he's like, "Look, I had a decision last week that went for me as well. It goes. I've had this happen throughout my career," and it was the one rare occasion where a manager was truly honest rather than sort of blaming everyone else for all of their problems and not accepting any responsibility for himself. So that part of that's why I like him. And then just his general approach, which I was listening to some of the other pundits sort of like floating around in the ether, and they were saying, Ange Postecoglou before Spurs, he was the Celtic manager, and it's okay to play Ange ball when you're Celtic and you're going against Hibs or Motherwell or whoever it is in some sort of Scottish team, because you can just go and run over them. Can't do that in the Premier League. You cannot play that style.
No, you cannot.
I think the real problem at Spurs is, and it seems to be this sort of narrative that is picking up, is the leadership. Daniel Levy, who is the sort of the chairman and the sort of I think he's a managing director of Spurs at the moment, right? There was this graphic going around on X, which I saw, which is if you look at Spurs' last three managers, you've got Antonio Conte, now at Napoli, winning the league. You've got Jose Mourinho, who's now at, I believe, is it Fenerbahce? I believe that's where he went to. So I think they're second,
correct.
I think they're second in the Turkish league. And then, of course, you've got Espirito de Santos, obviously Nuno, who's obviously managing Forest and flying high at third place. So if you look and put all of those things together, it's not the managers that seem to be the problem. It's sort of the leadership, the club, the ethos, the energy, the DNA, which is part of the problem. And I think he's the one who's going to start coming under pressure more than Ange will. I think Ange will get the sack at some point, but
he's going to get the sack. Under pressure. I mean, again, it's summed up in one word, and everybody knows it: Spursiness.
Spursiness, yeah, that's it. Mentality.
You were talking about making up words. That was a made-up word, but it's become reality. Right? From bracketology to Spursiness, it is the podcast of made-up words. It is English is a living language, money lines, and it evolves.
Money lines and new words as well. Look at that.
Exactly. So no, and also I will just make this con here. Daniel Levy, Gianni Infantino separated at birth. Seriously, put the two of them together. Bam.
Dr. Evil. They think Dr. Evil.
There it is. And I will say no more on that subject.
So let's moving through.
By the way, have you ever seen the two of them together?
I have never seen.
I rest my case.
Okay. Well, what reason would Spurs have to be sort of in the FIFA Club World Cup? They have no business up there anyway, so that wouldn't make sense either. Okay. Next fixtures, which is your beloved Crystal Palace against Man United. You guys, come on! Surely this is the mighty battle of 13th against 12th. There is
no, I know it's surprisingly interesting and evenly matched fixture.
What's interesting, 2 points on it, same goal difference, both negative 4 goal difference as well. Now, if there's ever a time, Crystal Palace, you've got to be going there thinking, all right, guys, come on, we can put one over here on you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think they got to come in strong. They had it was a disappointing match. It was disappointing against Brentford last week. It just was disappointing. It wasn't exactly a terrible performance, but it wasn't a great performance. And then you had that nice little lift by Romain Essa.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah,
beautiful. Like, it's nice to see that. It's a great feel-good story. Okay, put the feel-good crap aside. We got to go in and do the business now. We got to bring it to United. And we've got to just go out and flat out embarrass them. That's the only thing we've got. Will it happen? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Okay.
I mean, I'll be honest. I'd take a draw. I would take a draw in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Of course.
Totally. And I'm hoping for a win, but I will accept a draw.
Yeah. It seems unfortunately for those non-Man United fans, the chances of Man United getting down and getting relegated are probably very slim, but they are definitely going to be finishing in the bottom half by the looks of it. And I don't think, Man
I'd
United
say that's fair. I'd say if I was a betting man, I'd go there.
There we go. Well, apparently you are by the sounds of it. So yes, that's easy money. I think the other big fixture of the game, which will be interesting, is you've got Mikel Arteta, Pep Guardiola's former assistant and understudy, now obviously manager of Arsenal, as we know, against Manchester City. Arsenal City.
Yeah.
This is going to be an interesting
Great game. This is going to be a good. This is a big game, man.
This is a big game. It is third.
This is a big game.
Second against fourth. What's interesting, if you look at Man City's form, the last 5 games they've won 4 and drawn 1. So they've won 2, drawn 1, won 2. And so all of a sudden they seem to have sort of, I wouldn't say turned around their misfortunes. They seem to have sort of like corrected a little bit, but they are not by any stretch of the imagination. They're definitely a wounded animal, and they're not the dominant force that they were coming into this season at the end of last season, where they were just running away with it. So you can see City still have holes at the back. They could have problems, eh? They could have problems.
There is nothing more dangerous in nature than a wounded animal. That's the problem, right? A trapped animal fights more fiercely, and City are feeling it. They've been boxed into a corner, and so you're seeing that feral instinct come out with them. And if you show them any weakness, they will pounce upon you. They will capitalize on it. I think Arsenal is in big trouble. Listen, the man behind the curtain pulling all the levers, I think that curtain gets opened and Arsenal will be exposed, and I think City will take the win. And all of a sudden people are going to start asking questions.
Arsenal,
that's my prediction. Arsenal
just seem to be defying gravity for me at the moment. They really do seem to be.
I would agree. They are. I look at the table and I go, how the hell are they there? Because every time I watch an Arsenal game or I read about an Arsenal game or I do something, you get this sneaking suspicion that something's just not right.
They're grinding out results, which is a sign of a great team, which is wonderful. And look,
of course.
Their issue is, they've won 13 games this season. They've drawn 8. That seems to be their big problem. They've only lost 2, so they've drawn a few, but it feels like a lot of those draws.
It's the draws, sure.
Say they were in losing positions and then sort of managed to just sort of like nick a draw and sort of, prevent that sort of becoming a loss and sort of.
But I also think that at least 3 or 4 of those were the opposite, where they were winning and they ended up conceding late. And so it's like, ooh,
You do have a feeling that Arsenal. I just feel like Arsenal are just running on fumes at the moment, and I just wonder how long they keep it up, particularly with now the injuries that they have with obviously to Gabriel Jesus.
Correct.
They just don't have a striker. Obviously, we've got a few more days of the transfer window, and there's rumours floating around, which we'll get to in a second. But yeah, that's Arsenal. And then, of course, we have saved. I'm not going to say the best for last, but Chelsea, West Ham. They're playing on the Monday.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Jesus Christ! As a
don't
Chelsea
do
fan,
that.
What is going on? It's an abomination. It is kind of sort of. It feels like we're sort of doing a Man City here, where it was going so well. We were up in second place. We could have had the chance to go chop ahead of Liverpool, and then all of a sudden it's just been lost, draw, squeeze out a win. They lost to Man City. They really were not very good. They looked so open. Played this really dangerous high line. Nicholas Jackson's form has fallen off a cliff, and he can't score. Cole Palmer's obviously sort of is limping around every now and then, so it looks like he might have picked up a few knocks and bruises. And then, and for me, Chelsea, whenever they play Noni Madueke, I do not rate him. I think he is his decision making is so frustrating. And of course, the goalkeeper is a load of shit as well, and they need to change him. But that's poor Sanchez. I know.
Poor
Sanchez. This guy's getting paid $75,000 a week just to sort of let goals in. It's I wouldn't say poor Sanchez, but there's a lot of media speculation whether he gets dropped on this game is interesting. Chelsea have. I was thinking through it. Chelsea
for who? Didn't Chelsea overpay for Kepa?
Well, that's my point. They own the most expensive goalkeeper in the world, who's playing for Brighton, ironically, and is.
No. He plays for Bournemouth.
Bournemouth. Sorry. I get the two mixed up. The two southern teams. Thank you, Garrett. Thank you, Qooligan. That's where I need you. Playing for Bournemouth, and then also they've got a striking problem. They also own one of the most expensive strikers in the world in Romelu Lukaku, who's just been perennially on loan as well. So it's like. the talent's there, right? It's just call it all back and get them to come and play for you. But it's crazy. But I think West Ham. West Ham is sort of they're sort of
who knows with West Ham? They are the yo-yo team of this year. I see them on the fixture list and I kind of go, well, that could be interesting. And then I kind of don't give it any further thought and I wait to see what the results are. And everything when I've watched them, they have moments of scintillation and then long periods of just like, oh my Lord, what are you doing? So, no, I actually think it's going to be a fun one to watch. It's,
yeah, I'm not looking.
I don't know who to predict. I don't know who to predict. I think it all comes down to Cole Palmer. If Cole Palmer shows up, West Ham goes down. If he has an off day, West Ham win. Well, it's that simple.
I think it also depends on who they put in goal. If Maresca decides to stick with Sanchez, then that will determine whether you do that. So
look at that. Keeper hater. I love it. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so that covers off the Premier League. What is exciting to see is if we're just moving around now, the MLS teams are now in their preseason. There's a whole bunch of obviously sort of preseason fixtures going on. You've got Miami. Miami are in Peru, sort of bouncing around and doing the tour, and obviously sort of appealing to the South American sort of contingents and fans, which is wonderful to see. So it's coming there, but we did see, and then the other thing that also is happening, as we've discussed, is the transfer window is there, and so there's been some. It's transfer window. We're kind of getting into the silly season, the late stage cycle of the transfer market, where teams are either panicking or, while this business doesn't get done at the beginning of the transfer window, it still amazes me how these teams wait till the last minute. I can imagine there's a bit of posturing and negotiating going on.
Of course.
But and so just looking through some of the transfer activity that's gone on there, the one that really surprised me was Aston Villa's John Duran. Went to Saudi. He was at Al Nassr.
Al Nassr. There's Al Nassr.
So he's gone to go and play with Ronaldo, Mane, and then obviously the other players as well. That was the surprising one, I have to say. Look, I get the money is enticing. I get it, but why would you? He's 20 years old. He's got sort of such a bright future.
He's 21. He's 21 years old. Yeah.
21. Yeah. He could be a legitimate Premier League or European leading striker and play in the Champions League.
Yeah.
And of course, look, he's taken a big money deal, right? Absolutely, he's getting paid, far more than he'll ever earn elsewhere. But it does feel like you sort of sacrifice the glory and the potential of your career for a payday, which you're going to get anyway, right?
Well, yeah, and I think it also has to do with minutes, right? I mean, Duran's not getting a lot of minutes.
Yep.
He's had impact, and I think what's interesting is whenever you hear Duran, you usually have the adjective super sub.
Yes.
Sean Duran.
Yes.
Super sub is a backhanded compliment. Okay, let's be honest. It's nice to be acknowledged that you come on and have an impact, but it also means you're not getting starts. And he hasn't gotten that many starts. I think he's got 4. If I'm not correct, he's had 4 starts the entire season. And that includes, and 2 of those were FA Cup ties.
And when he starts, he doesn't score, which is interesting. And he hasn't scored when he's
he did, and he also got a red card in one of those starts too. That was later rescinded, but still.
40 way into the team and get sent off. Great,
but and in the 27th minute. So it was. Listen, he's not proven that. He goes, I think he's looking at that going, I'm going to make that move to Al Nassr because Ronaldo's not going to be there forever, and I can come in and accept that mantle. This is my long term. One, money. It's all money, right? Money first. Yep. Second, he's convincing himself that if I go and I sort of apprentice myself under Ronaldo, I can end up being the next Ronaldo on that. Good luck. But here's what I've noticed, and in studying the Saudi market, is that the Saudis are they're plucking younger and younger players. They pulled a Masia Academy player, 18 years old. They pulled a Masia Academy player who's 18 years old into the Saudi league. Wow. That is highly unusual. One, I have to say, was he really one of Masia's top academy kids? Absolutely not, right? I mean, like, there's levels of gradation within Masia. If you make it there, you've got quality. But within the Masia, there is a pecking order, and this kid must have been low on it, and I hate to disrespect that poor young man. But I'm just saying that if they're willing to put him out into the Saudi league, he couldn't have been one of their top prospects. But still,
They would have been paid for it.
they got
yeah, they would have been
they got paid for him,
yeah.
right? Al Hilal's inbound age this transfer season is 22.3 years old.
Wow.
Okay.
So
Ittihak's So, but there's some other stats that caveat this. So, Hilal 22.3, Ittihak 23.7, Nasser 23.5. These are the top 3 teams in the league. Okay, that's the age. Now, here's what's also fascinating: 4 out of 5. So, and this is where I have to do off the cuff percentages. Al Hilal, only 4 of those players are outside of the Saudi league. The Saudi leagues trade within their own circle like crazy.
Oh, really?
You literally, players are just doing because they're all owned by the same people, Gary. Yeah, it's all the clubs are owned by like 8 of the clubs are owned by the same Saudi investment fund. So they're just trading players in between. It's a gigantic financial, circle jerk. Okay, there we go. Right.
Well, do you think sit around and sit around and say, hey, and do some
100%
with their players as well, right?
Yeah. So when you look at that brings down the age, but still, when you study the non-Saudi transfers, right? Mm-hmm. And Hilal had 4, Ittihak had 10. They were the leader in the non-transfer. Al Nassr has 5. That's only anywhere from 20 to 33% of their inbound transfers are coming from outside the Saudi league. Okay, so, but those transfers are getting younger. It's not just the old, crusty, established names, the Neymars, the Ronaldos. Yeah. The oldest player that I saw on that list was 30 years old. The youngest, obviously, is Jean Durand at 21. So they're pulling in younger players. This is a fascinating trend. The other thing, and I'm going to be doing some studying on this, is most players don't last long in the Saudi league that are not from Saudi Arabia.
Interesting. Yeah.
They come in, they get their payday, they get the hell out.
Neymar did a season, and I think Neymar did a season.
Jordan Henderson didn't even last a season.
Yeah, didn't even last a season. And so it's still a little unclear. Obviously, there's probably a big NDA signed there as well, so you can't talk to it as well. Steven Gerrard just announced that he's leaving as the manager of one of their teams as well. I don't know if you saw that as well. Gerrard is.
Yeah, no, I absolutely saw that, but he stayed there 18 months, which is an eternity for a
Yeah, but living out there in Saudi, it is. But yeah, so obviously with the Jordan Henderson one, it's interesting. Again, he took crazy money, but then after 3 or 4 months, he's like, actually, this isn't working for me. I don't know what it was exactly, whether just culturally it didn't work.
And now he's at
Ajax, and then I saw there's a rumor that he's actually.
Although there's rumors he's going to go to Monaco. Yeah, that's right. There's rumors he's going to go to Monaco.
And again,
yeah.
If you're Jordan Henderson, you've taken that Saudi money, you've been playing in Ajax, you've won everything in the Premier League. Go and live in the south of France as well in a tax-free haven as well. That's a pretty good gig. Okay? That's a pretty good gig. So
I mean, the only thing that happened to Henderson is I think it ruined his brand, right? I mean, going to Saudi and then not being really not being candid about why he went to Saudi, I think kind of was like people were disappointed.
I'd agree with that one as well. But also, he'd won everything and he'd done it. He'd done it. So I think he probably earned the right to it. But I agree with you on the hurting the brand. The other interesting rumor going around, and however this is true, is Al Nassr as well, who just obviously signed Duran and had Ronaldo. And you can also, just thinking about it, you can imagine if you're John Duran, one of the big selling features is you're going to play with Ronaldo. You're going to play with one of the greats of all the game. That is obviously quite a compelling pull. They have apparently Al Nassr have come in for Brighton. I know we were talking about Brighton, obviously how they had this transfer infinite money glitch system where they've really hacked it. They have his name is basically Mitoma. Is he Japanese or Korean?
Kaoru Mitoma.
Kaoru Mitoma. Apparently they
Mitoma-san.
They put a £90 million offer in front of them. Now I don't know who's more stupid. Al Nassr for bidding 90 million or Brighton for refusing 90 million and not getting that deal done pretty damn quickly as well. But that again,
it's stupid all the way around. It's stupid on both sides.
It's stupid on both sides. If you're Brighton, you rip their arm off because I don't think he's that much of a key player. He's not he's good and obviously compelling. But again,
I reported this 22 hours ago in an article, Gary. Right? I dropped that nugget 22 hours ago. Because that was, but yeah, they're not only going for Mitoma. They made an offer for Nunez.
Yeah.
They put $105 million in for Nunez. Liverpool completely and utterly laughed that off. They put an offer in for Dusan Vlahovic, right, out of Juventus, who reportedly said to them that he said no because, quote, he had a desire to continue competing at a high level. Ouch. That hurt.
That's good to hear. Yes.
There it is, right? They were going in for Victor Boniface, right, out of Nigeria. Yeah. They shunted him aside when Duran showed interest, so they just like completely shoved that poor guy off. So he's going to be stuck at Leverkusen. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no. Listen, 112 million US dollars, 90 million pounds. That is mad money. That is mad money. Yeah. I gotta say, Brighton would be crazy to turn that down. But the question is, Matoma has right of refusal. Mm-hmm. Yep. And I don't think Matoma goes to Saudi. I mean, why would he? It makes no sense. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. He could buy an island in Japan with what they're going to pay him, but it's like all 4 big islands are already taken. Yeah. Well. I mean, I don't think the Japanese government is selling off Kyushu or Hokkaido yet. So it's like, no, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Maybe just a beach house then. Maybe just a beach house.
Well, there's a cat island. There's a famous cat island that's very underpopulated. So
okay. Oh, well, yeah. Well, who knows if all of your referral comes in with your referral fee.
Yeah, check out my next podcast on the great cat islands of the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, that'll be my next one.
The Qooligan at thecatman.com. That's it. Yes.
The cat. Yeah. Right.
Okay, so and then transfer window as well. So it seems things have been fairly quiet, sort of in the European leagues in particular. The one sort of, it feels like there's a lot of clubs that are all looking for strikers. There's a few strikers that are looking for new clubs, and again, what normally happens in these instances is it's a domino effect. When one moves, and then all of a sudden, so like for example, United finally sell Rashford hypothetically, right? And then all of a sudden they've got some cash, and then they go in big and make a move and say, okay, we'll sign that side, and then it sort of triggers a cascading effect here. We've got I think 2 more days of the transfer window. There's this Matisse Tell. I put up an article about this guy, how all of the top top English clubs are falling all over themselves, going to pay, looking in the sort of 60 million range for a 19-year-old who's got a bit of pace and he's strong, and it just feels like it's just, again, silly season as well. It's absolutely crazy desperation as well. So it'll be interesting to see. The one interesting one, the transfer that I did like to see was Almiron, obviously to Atlanta. We covered that as well, and you are seeing the MLS obviously sort of get some other players. Of course, we saw Zaha to Charlotte. Obviously,
that's not a transfer though. That's a loan. So you got to be pretty clear that. Yeah, loans count for transfer window, but aside from Charlotte being able to pay his wages, which is not inconceivable, they have a fairly substantial amount of general allocation money in their pot. They're able to cover it. And if he really takes off and he does well, then they're going to have to think about what they need to do in order to reconfigure. They're a new team, right? So they're a new club. They want to make a splash. They need to make a big, they've got a burgeoning academy, and so they've got a lot of young players that are coming up from there. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, and for Zaha, he gets to get out of the whatever league he was at Fenerbahce, I believe. Whoever or Galatasaray, one of the two. They were loaning him out to somewhere else. He's got to get somewhere and just start playing his game where he's not going to get the living crap kicked out of him. And
he's had some injury issues as well, because I mean Zaha, he was a young exciting talent when he was at Palace, and then he made that move to Manchester United. It didn't work out for him, and he ended up
and then he went back to Palace and excelled. But he's in his 30s, so he's no spring chicken anymore.
That's it, yeah. Indeed, yeah. Well, we'll be watching it. It'll be interesting to see what happens in terms of who else happens. Of course, this game week, if there's any injuries as well, that can also sort of expedite some deals as well. But I imagine there'll be a flurry of excitement towards the end of the window as it closes shut.
And on the MLS subject, just for all our listeners out there, Hooligan will begin its MLS preview series of articles. Start publishing this weekend. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. It's all coming out. All 30 teams getting a rundown, getting an expose, who to watch, how they did, and a few little fun nuggets in there.
Fantastic.
For all the fans.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Well, it's wonderful taking a trip around the soccer world with you at Qooligan, as always. It's
the global game.
The global game indeed as well. So exciting games coming up this weekend. We'll be back next week as well to cover off obviously sort of the next game week, and also as well maybe we do a transfer wrap up depending on how much activity there is. I think that could be something.
Oh, there's a lot. There's enough there.
Enough meat on that bone as well. We'll come back again.
Yeah.
All right. Until then, Qooligan, as always, thank you, listeners. If you are listening, feel free to reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
Yep. Bye.